looking at Happy Lovers, a piece painted sometime in the early 1760s by Jean-Henri Fragonard. Now, what really sticks out to me about this painting is the bright colors, especially in the clothes of the young man. His clothes are just a burst of color, like a scarlet macaw. That bright blue, yellow, and red just really get me as I'm transported into this bright and beautiful world.
Yes, and this palette of colorful pastels is not only common among Rococo art, but it's very much accentuated in Fragonard's work. Fragonard really was the most colorful of Rococo artists, and really brings us into the surreal and beautiful fantasy of the scene. Now, I find it interesting that you mentioned a macaw, because it is a type of bird. It's interesting because the subject of this painting is a bird. The young woman of the couple is laying there, and she has presented the young man with a dove to represent love. The woman is holding a cage dove above the man, his dove representing how she has entrapped his heart.
However, if we look to the left corner, we see that she is not fully devoted to the young man. There is a larger cage in the bottom corner here, and it is surrounded by other doves. There is a string leading from that cage to the young girl, and essentially she can pull it at any second and ensnare the heart of the next man. So I don't think she is really fully invested in her present relationship, because she can move on to the next one at any time.
You're right, and I think the idea really encompasses the Rococo movement of which this piece was a part of. During this time, the French nobility which Rococo art was directed toward was bored. Art like these paintings were used to entertain them and to represent that sort of frivolous lifestyle full of insignificant actions. I think the girl in this piece really represents that, because to her everything is insignificant. It doesn't matter to her how the relationship plays out in the end. She's just indulging the man because she has nothing better to do.
And we can even take that idea a step farther as we notice the clothing of this young couple. The two of them are participating in an activity the French nobles found very entertaining, pretending to be peasants. You can tell due to the fact that the woman is wearing very simple clothes, at least compared to the normal fashion of the French aristocracy, and the fact that both the man and the woman are barefooted. This was a sign of poverty, since only the rich could afford shoes.
But we can tell that this couple is rich since their feet are clean. If they were really peasants, their feet would be dirty from walking around in the mud all day. Now, not only is the foot of the woman exposed, but also the ankle. At this time, the ankle is considered a very sexual part of the body, and the fact that it is left uncovered gives the painting a sort of erotic nature present in Rococo art. Rococo paintings were intended to arouse the viewers, and so they depict some sort of erotic fantasies for the viewer by hinting at sexual themes.
Yes, and we see this erotic nature also by the way the two are close and snuggling and obviously lovers. The dove represents eternal love and makes it clear to us, but we can already tell that the two are lovers by the way they interact with each other. The man is lying in the woman's lap and looking at her in a way that implies they are more than friends or family.
But we know that eventually he will get hurt because, as we said earlier, she is not fully invested in the relationship. Eventually, she will leave him for one of the other men she ensnares, and he will be left all alone and hurt.
And at that point, then the fantasy will end. You know, the nature of the scene reminds me of a poem I read once, The Chimney Sweeper, from William Blake's Songs of Experience. There was this one line, "And because I am happy and dance and sing, they think they have done me no injury." Here I get the feeling that the woman really thinks she is doing a good thing for the man. He is happy in the moment, and both of them are caught up in the fantasy of the scene. She doesn't think about the way she's actually going to cause him pain later. Like that line says, she believes that because he is happy, she hasn't caused him any problems.
I agree, and I think the idea goes for all the members of the French aristocracy of this time. Like with this Rococo art, they were caught up in a fantastical world. I don't think that any of the nobles realized the implications of the extravagant lifestyle. They had no idea the problems and hardships they were causing for the lower class. In fact, I think that the nobles may have even felt like they were helping the lower class by pretending to be peasants. I don't think the nobles realized that they were a hindrance rather than a help. And again, it's like your poem. They believe that since the peasants seemed happy, they were not hurting them in any way.
Although here, I don't think the peasants really seemed happy. I think it was more that the nobles were too caught up in their fantasies to notice the issues going on.
True. And on the topic of fantasies, what is it that makes this piece so fantastical?
Well, in the typical Rococo style, this painting is very wispy lines, and it creates a surreal scene. In addition, the scene takes place in this garden, which is overgrown and just beautiful. It's all very pastoral, almost like a dream.
And a dream you never want to wake up from. What I find interesting is the fact that the art of the flowers above the couple's heads is actually an image pulled from Fragonard's childhood memories. When he was young, his parents were very busy, and he was often left to entertain himself on his own. While exploring as children, he fell in love with flowers like the ones in that arch. The arch over the couple serves the purpose of reminding us about not only his childhood but our own. It transports us back to our youth and pulls further into that beautiful dream.
But, like all dreams, it must come to an end.
And that end, in this case, was the French Revolution. I think it's sort of impressive that the problems in France were able to rise to such an enormous level as to cause a revolution. And yet, the noble were oblivious. They had no idea that things were so bad in their country.
Well, I think it was that utter oblivion that caused things to play out as they did. And I also think it was the purpose of the neoclassic movement that came after, to wake people from that dream and bring them back to reality.